The Scout in MVM is a hell of a lot more important than you might think he is. All that money those robots drop, the Scout has to run around and collect all that. If he doesn't go and collect all that, you don't get the bonus cash, and you end up with less money, and that just means less upgrades, and it just means the whole thing is much harder for everyone. So first and foremost, let's look at the loadout that the Scout needs to have. First of all, the scattergun. It's completely up to you what you want to use for this. I like to use a stock scattergun just because I have a strange one and I like it, but a lot of people would prefer to use the Force of Nature. It allows you to push back the robots and stop them, deploying the bomb or something. And also the soda popper. Obviously when you build up hype, you can then jump loads, so it just increases your mobility a lot, and playing as a Scout, mobility is incredibly important to staying out of trouble basically. Now your secondary, you have no choice in this. You must take the Mad Milk. It's as simple as that. Take the Mad Milk. The reason behind this, there's an upgrade for the Mad Milk which allows you to slow the target on hit. So once you throw your Mad Milk all over them, it will slow the enemies down. This is incredibly important when you're coming up against a load of Super Scouts which can just run straight past your defences. They can run straight past your NG sentries if they're not placed properly, and they can just get past, and having the Mad Milk can slow them down and allow your team to take them out. And for your melee weapon, there's kind of a couple of options for that. The main option that most people would go for is the Fad of War. It basically means if you hit an enemy, you mark them for death, and all damage to that enemy becomes mini crits. This can be incredibly effective against giants and giant medics and stuff like that, so you can tag those, take them out quickly with mini crits. And you can also use the Sandman to mark giant robots for death with the bull. And obviously with the bull you can do this at range, so you can stay well out of harm's way. I tend to use the Fan of War though, because it keeps you up at full health, and it's, as a Scout you're going to be in the danger zone all the time anyway, collecting the money. Now the upgrades for Scout. First and foremost, you want to prioritise upgrading your milk. You need the slow on target. That should be the first thing you upgrade. That's only one upgrade as well. And of course the milk regen rate needs to be brought up as well, so you can obviously regen your milk faster and throw more out. Next would be any mobility upgrades and any resistances for the Scout. As a Scout you're going to be running around, you're not going to be causing that much damage. Don't go and upgrade your scattergun straight away, because really you shouldn't be using it that much. You should be throwing milk and you should be marking enemy players for death. So upgrade your resistances, upgrade your mobility so you can run around and get the money and stay alive for longer. Now the role whilst you're playing is pretty simple. Run around, throw your milk on the enemies, mark them for death, and collect all the money. The more money you collect, the higher your health goes, because as you collect money you gain heals, and you gain over heals. You can get up to sort of 700, 800 health, and the best Scouts can kind of stay around that range for the whole round. This kind of negates a lot of the enemy attacks, as you're so high over healed that you become almost invincible. However, you can become susceptible to high spam areas where there's perhaps a lot of soldiers coming in, spamming their rockets out. Your health will quickly deplete if you're not collecting money. So the kind of general rule of thumb is to go in after the enemies have been killed and not straight in as soon as they come in, because the waves of enemies, they tend to come in small groups, so if your team are well coordinated they can take out the small group, you can go in and collect the money, and then your team can then take out the next group of enemies that's coming along. However, sometimes the enemies tend to just come in, slowly drip in, so you kind of have to be wary. You have to kind of know where the most damage is coming from and kind of stay away from those areas as much as possible. However, with all the money, don't worry about taking a bit of damage basically. You've got plenty of health. Don't go spamming medic. He's got plenty to deal with it as it is. He doesn't need to be wasting his time healing you, because he won't be getting anywhere. So the Scout is kind of a lone wolf in MVM. You're kind of left to your own vices. You have to get around yourself, heal yourself, and make sure you don't die yourself. I mean, your team can protect you by taking out most of the enemies, of course, but other than that, you're kind of on your own, and this is why mobility upgrades are so important. They're just to keep you out of harm's way, upgrading your speed and your jumps. They can be incredibly important to get you out of danger. Jumps on Manhattan can be really helpful on the first part of the map, because there's the high bit and there's the low bit, and with your normal jumps you have to go up on the little caravan thing. When it's upgraded to full, you can just jump straight up there. It makes it a lot easier, means you can get round a lot easier. And the speed upgrades can be incredibly helpful when you're chasing down Super Scouts, which sometimes get past, as I said earlier. You can chase those down, milk them, mark them for death. Your team will then catch up and be able to take them out easily. But then, once it's all said and done, once you reach the final wave, the Scout is kind of made redundant. You no longer need to collect the money anymore, because you're not going to be upgrading during a wave, much, I suppose, but any money you do collect is not really going anywhere. There's no more waves after that. So usually what I do is change class, change to a power class like Soldier, Demo or Heavy, and, help your team out, deal more damage. It just makes the last wave a lot easier. I mean, some people do prefer to go Scout, and that's fine. It's kind of up to you on the last wave, but me personally, I prefer to change it up. I generally go Soldier or something, just because it's a lot of fun to go as Soldier, especially with all the upgrades. But it's completely up to you what you do on the last round. Like I say, some people prefer to stay as Scout and help out milking the Super Scouts or marking enemies for death or anything, but usually most people go for power classes, help out, deal the damage. This can be especially prevalent on one of the last waves of the Rottenburg maps, where 3 tanks come on. On that wave, it's pretty much advisable for everyone to go Phlogistonate or Pyro, just because you take out the tanks and that's it, it's the wave over. Possibly one of the easiest waves in the whole of MVM, but So yeah, that was a look at the Scouts role during MVM. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm probably going to be doing more MVM related videos on different classes and different tactics, I suppose. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra.